Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the webinar. Today, we're joined by our friend Hank Hoffmeyer from iContact, who's going to be talking all about the importance of email marketing and any best practices to help you yield high delivery and open rates for your messages. I'm going to start with a little bit of housekeeping. Your phones will be muted throughout the webinar, but if you have a question, you can type it into the question box. We'll have a short Q&A at the end of the presentation. If you don't already know, my name is Jeff Larkin, and I'm the Marketing and Communications Specialist at Cornerstone. My information is right there on the screen, so if you'd like to get in contact with me, I can help you flush out ideas for refreshing your brand. Also, give us a follow on social media. We post industry and Cornerstone updates and information. Go to Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, or YouTube to give us a follow. Cornerstone's Resource Center has a fresh new face with its brand new document search feature and easier access to technology, white papers, and the 2019 and 2020 webinar recordings. So you can visit the Cornerstone website today to check that out. Autopilot is a compensation-based client referral program that offers the services of licensed representatives to quote, enroll, support, and provide year-round services to clients that may fall out of your business scope but never off of your radar. So under this program, you can focus on just growing your business with the assurance that clients will continue to receive the benefits of your marketing expertise and continued superior service and support. So our team is going to take care of your client's health insurance needs for individual and family coverage, employee benefits, or Medicare solutions. Activate Autopilot today, and you can learn more on the Cornerstone website. Okay, now is the time to pass it off to our good friend Hank from iContact. Take it away, Hank.
Hello, thank you for joining me today, whether it is from your walk-in closet, your home office, your spare bedroom, living room, wherever it is, because a lot of us are working from home. I'm glad you can make it today. And I hope I can give you a lot of information about using email marketing for the insurance industry. Well, I'm glad I'm actually here today because last week over the weekend, I think I had a bout with a kidney stone and I was in so much pain. And with the pandemic going on, what was going on in my head was, what if I need to go to the hospital? If I need to go to the hospital, I'm going to be around other people that might be sick. I might actually walk out with the coronavirus. And I didn't want that. But definitely, I was thinking about my health insurance as well. What's covered for a kidney stone at the hospital rather than just going to my general practitioner? And it just, a lot of things went through my head. I drank a lot of water and I went through about 2 hours of pain, and then it would subside and then it would come back. And at some point I was like, this is it, I have to go to the hospital. My wife's like, well, if you're gonna go, maybe you should go alone. And I was like, well, if I'm in so much pain, am I gonna be able to drive? All these things were going through my head. And I don't know why insurance popped into my head, but people do think about what happens when I file a claim, or what happens when I go to the hospital or the doctor, what's actually covered, what's not covered, and can I afford it if I'm going to be paying for this outside? And it's just a horrible thought to have where, if you're selling insurance or if you're in the medical industry, you need to make people feel comfortable about either filing a claim or using their insurance or even buying insurance, right? They need to feel comfortable about the packages, services, coverages that they have. This way that they can just rest assured that they are okay and their family is going to be okay. So today, I'm going to make a claim about why you should be using email marketing, but more importantly, what I want to do is make sure that you use the acronym file a claim or claim when it comes to email marketing. First thing I want you to do with email marketing is create awareness. Make sure that you are informing people that you have a newsletter or you want to send them an email, have your brand name in front of them, because a lot of times people are not ready to buy, whether it's in retail or insurance. People are not always looking every single moment of the day, or they're not buying 4 different types of insurance policies all at once or throughout the year. You need to stay top of mind when it comes to your email subscribers. And also what I want you to do is make sure you leap into action. Once you obtain an email address or a subscriber, start that relationship off right and start it right away. Next, aspire to follow best practices. As much as you want to go out and obtain a list of email subscribers, send to that list all at once, and then just give them the best possible offer, the results might not be as stellar as you think. And what will happen is it'll actually hurt your ability to have a better return on investment for your email marketing campaigns. That's why best practices are best practices. If you follow them, it'll be more positive for you. And what I want you to do is inspire your subscribers to act. Don't be dry and dull when using email marketing and just sending out something because it's late on a Friday, you want to get an email together and get it out the door, but you don't have time to be creative. What you'll need to do is make sure that you're putting information in there that's either going to strike their emotion, strike their intelligence, or just be an offer that's too good to be true, something that meets their needs. And then last, measure your results. Don't just start sending emails out just saying, oh, you know what, I made money this month, therefore my campaigns are doing well. Or don't be discouraged because you feel like your open rates are low. Take a look at your conversions, take a look at your bounce rate, which are some of the negative things that happen, spam complaints, unsubscribes, and then also your open rates. Take a look at what you're doing, where you are, and what improvements can you make along the way to ensure that your emails are getting through to the inbox, getting open because of your subject line, and getting clicked because of your calls to action, which is the inspire portion that I just mentioned here. Email marketing has changed over the years. I grew up in a time where AOL was popular and you actually had to connect to the internet using a dial-up modem. And normally when I do these types of talks in person, I ask people, do you know what a dial-up modem sounds like? And some of you are probably playing that sound in your head. It's kind of horrible. It's like, and hopefully I didn't make you cover your ears right there, but it took a little while to connect to the internet, and maybe 2-3 minutes. And then what would happen is you'd either browse the internet or go to your AOL inbox. And back then, this is probably early 90s, mid 90s. If you went to your inbox, those emails had to be important, whether it's from friends, family, or brands you trust. Because otherwise, if it took me a while to connect and my internet was slow, I probably wouldn't read emails that were irrelevant. Now we're kind of going through our inbox and there's just so many emails and there is a lot of clutter, but we're putting up with it. Some of it's bacon. You have spam, which is stuff that we don't want and we never signed up for and we hit spam. Then there's bacon. It's like we kind of signed up for it, maybe for that coupon. And we keep it in our inbox just in case. And then there's just ones we ignore. Then there's the brands and people that we love and trust that we're always going to engage with their emails. And just think about how many emails people might have received back in the 90s, maybe 20 to 100 a day. Now it's thousands per day. Just for work, I think I get over 100 emails per day, and I have to sift through those and prioritize those. Then I have my various Gmail and AOL and Yahoo inboxes that I use for testing, and then other reasons that I have to go through, and that takes a lot of time. We can receive and view emails on tablets, mobile devices, on our desktops, and then my watch, which I have an Apple Watch. I can actually read my emails there. Just think about the formats that these emails are in, and then also where people are reading them. It's important to know that things have changed over time, but yet something is staying steady. It's email marketing. Email marketing is powerful because it's one of the most effective marketing channels you can use. 95% of online consumers use email, and they look for brands to do business with, and they look for specials, discounts, and information in those emails. The best thing about email is that it works. 72% of consumers say that email is their favorite method of communications. And that can be from also their doctor, it can be from retailers, it can be from vendors that B2B companies want to do business with. They say that email is just better to go back and forth. Text messaging still hasn't really gotten that trust factor when it comes to doing two-way communication. And with email marketing, it's something where you give someone an email address and then it just starts this dialogue, and it's a beautiful type of communication method. Let's take a look at, I talked to you about email is important. I gave you some stats, but email marketing is important because it's 40 times more effective than, say, social media, pay-per-click advertising, and even direct mail. It's very powerful. 61% of American workers say email is very important to what they do. And a lot of people, while they're at work, check both business and personal emails. Therefore, you can get in front of them using your email marketing campaigns. And then 83% of B2B marketers say email marketing is very effective. It runs the gamut. It's B2C and B2B. Email marketing is the king, has been the king, and there's always rumors that email marketing is on its deathbed, but we never see it on life support. It's actually still growing year over year, and the results are growing as long as you're following these best practices. Okay, When you use email marketing, what you want to do is have the right audience. Make sure that you're using templates that matter. And we're going to go over these items, but I'm just kind of giving you the high level overview here. You want to make sure you're using content that matters in your emails, and it has to matter to your audience, to your subscribers, rather than you as the marketer. Make sure that you're obtaining and using the data you have to either segment or put into your emails, inject them into the emails. And then last, as I mentioned earlier, measure or analyze. Look at your results, look at your data, whether it's the particular send month over month, year over year. You want to look at this data and analyze it, because now you can make changes to make sure that you're being more successful than ever. I love email marketing because it allows you to get personal with your email subscribers. You can inject the first name into the subject line, into the email, and it makes it feel like a one-on-one conversation. Try having a one-on-one conversation with people on social media, say through Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or even through, say, postcards, right? You have to do each one individually. It's hard to send a message en masse to everyone and yet make it feel like it's personal. But email marketing allows you to make it personal or feel like it's personal. Like I said, you can inject that first name into the subject line, also into the body of the email. You can use information if you obtain it, like birthday or the last time they did business with you, or when a renewal is. You can use those bits of information so that you can send particular data around that or messaging around that. If you have location information, that's very powerful. That allows you to even inject it. Hey, we have rates for areas around Raleigh, North Carolina, which is where I'm from. You can actually inject that into the email. And then you could talk about the products that you're offering, or the coverages, or the types of information you want to send. You can inject that right into the email, as long as you have that somewhere stored. It's what you offer and maybe what they're interested in. Match those together and use those in the email. The first thing people see is the subject line. And a lot of people think that it's the content in the email that makes an email so effective. Well, it makes it effective for a conversion, but first you have to get people to open your email. Without that, it'll be ignored and people won't open it. Therefore, they cannot even see the content or your beautiful images and then convert to clicking a link, making a phone call, or purchasing a product or service. What you should do is make sure you're using that first name in the subject line, and I keep repeating that because it's the most powerful thing you can do. I don't know about you, but when people say my name, especially if I'm out in public, I like that. It makes me turn around. It gets my attention. Same thing with subject lines. It helps you stand out in a crowd of the sea of sameness in your inbox by using the first name. Not all marketers do this, but if you have and obtain that information, go ahead and use it. You can use emoji. It's a standard now. It used to be in the past, if you used emoji in the subject line, it might not render correctly and make your subject line look really strange and weird, where now almost every email client accepts and uses emoji, and that actually helps you stand out in the sea of sameness again. And what's interesting is around the holidays, you'll see a lot of retailers starting to use emoji, but then they drop off after probably February, especially around Valentine's Day. So what you want to do is just make sure you're using them every now and then, but don't overdo it, and make sure you're testing to see how they look before you send them out. Your subject line should be about 6 to 10 words in length. A lot of marketers or people that send out emails try to or like to use more than that because they feel like more words means more information and people will open. But what will happen is if it's over 10 words or 6 to 10, depending on the size of each word, what will happen is it'll get cut off in the inbox, and then it might not make sense and people might not get the message you're trying to convey. To help with that, what you can do is use something called a pre-header. To me, the pre-header is like what Robin is to Batman. It creates a dynamic duo. The pre-header is the first bit of text that shows up in the email at the top. It could be hidden, it can be shown. A lot of times you might see something like, can't view this email, click here to view online. That's an example of a pre-header, but what you want to do is make sure that you are using them effectively, because if you're using can't view this, click here to view online, that's a waste of real estate. What you can do is have your subject line, great rates on insurance, then the pre-header can say something like all-time low rates right now, or view all-time rates right now. Would be the extension of your subject line or your pre-header. Use them both in conjunction so that you get more visual or more attention to your subject line and get that open. A lot of times what you'll see in like Gmail and Outlook is the subject line is bold and then the pre-header is not bold, but it's right next to the subject line. That's how you see a subject line and a pre-header right next to each other. Also, make sure you're testing your subject lines. Do something called split A/B testing. What you'll do is take version A and send it to 10% of your list. And this can have one version of a subject line. And then another 10% will get version B, which is a different subject line. Then what you'll do is you'll let it sit and let it bake in for 24 to 48 hours, come back and see which one had more opens. And if, say, B got a lot more opens than A, you would want to send version B to the remaining 80% of your list. I used to work with a client that said, I don't know why everyone does not use split testing because it's like getting free opens in every send, which that is true, because if you're sending the most effective subject line, what will happen is your emails will get opened more and you don't have to sit there and say, is this going to work? Is it not going to work? Because you've already tested it. And I have a resource for you at the end of today's webinar that will help you with your subject lines and maybe give you some ideas for testing. Stay tuned until the end and I'll give you that resource. The main elements of email marketing, to me, there's three of them, and I want to go over those. And some of these you might say, yeah, I know about these, but I want to give you some of those best practices that I mentioned, because with those, it'll allow you to be more successful. The first one is make sure you have a sign-up form on your website or on a landing page. If you're using pay-per-click or social media marketing and it's for a specific reason or a specific policy, what you want to do is drive them to a landing page that tells them about that specific offer and have a form on there for them to fill out something. And then also make sure that you have it on your website somewhere, whether it's a pop-up or at the bottom. And I'm going to show you some examples in a few moments. But once you obtain that email address, it's very important to start that relationship off right away. Send a welcome email. If you have your sign-up form connected to, say, iContact or another email service provider, you can send out an email right away as soon as they fill out that form, or at least when you upload a list, have that trigger right away, send out a welcome email. That will say, thank you for signing up. Here's what you can expect. Here's how often you can expect it. And I always like to add, if you want to unsubscribe, we would be sad, but here's how to do that. Just click the link at the bottom of the email and we will happily unsubscribe you. I like to say that because it makes people feel like there is that trust in that relationship. But what you want to do is obtain that subscriber, right away start that relationship by sending that welcome email. Then don't keep using the same email template over and over because it becomes redundant, dry, and boring. You want to make sure you have a couple different versions or varieties of templates to use to keep people interested and engaged with your emails. Let's dig in a little bit further. Let's look at some sign-up form examples. Here's one from my website. I don't really have a form on my website. When you scroll up and down, it's not in my footer, it's not at the top. But when you go to leave my website, what will happen is you'll see this pop up and it's asking if you want to sign up for my journal, which is a monthly newsletter where I curate a bunch of information around podcasts I'm listening to, books I've read, tools that make me more organized and efficient, and just kind of like a business or a marketing type of lesson that I learned that month, whether it's setting goals or a mistake I made. And what I want to do is pay it forward, offer value to people and help them do marketing better or run their business better. And that's what I'm doing here is pleading. And this happens when you try to exit my website, when you leave the frame of the website and go to close the browser, go to a different tab, or go to search something in the URL bar, it'll show up right there. Because I want you to consume the content on my website first, learn about me, rather than me pitch you right away 2 seconds after you show up. Hey, want to sign up for my journal? What I'd rather do is say, hey, you learned a little bit about me. Now, why don't you sign up for my journal? And here's Cornerstone. They have a form that you can fill out on their website and it allows you to get information directly in your inbox. And they're offering news, events, carrier updates, and their Monday Minute newsletter, which is weekly. And they're setting the expectations up front here rather than in the welcome message, which they probably do in their welcome message as well. And they also have the I agree button, which is great because they want to make sure that you sign in and give explicit consent so that your emails get through and that they know you want the email. So this is a good example of a form. Here's a sample one. This is Fuji. They sell grappling gear and mountain climbing stuff. I just like to point out, you don't always need 18 pieces of information, but I know in your industry, you might need more than just an email address. But just remember, you only need an email address to start sending emails. I always recommend at least start with an email address and a first name and go from there. Now, with getting insurance quotes, whether it is health, whether it is life, or even auto industry. I probably know I need to give more information to get a quote. Therefore, it's okay to do that. And also in the restaurant industry, I always like to point them out because you'll see a Biscayne Tavern here on the left. They're asking for more information, just my email and my first name. They want my birth date. Why is that? Because they're probably going to send me a coupon for free food or at least a discounted meal, which I'll take all day long. I don't know about you, but I love free food. But they're also asking what types of emails that I want. So this hopefully is giving you some inspiration as far as what you might want to do, because maybe it's a certain type of policy or certain information people are looking for that you can ask, say, what are you looking for, and have these check boxes, kind of like Biscayne. And MBK or Bangkok newsletters asking you, what types of emails do you want from us? About food in the area? Do you want our PDF magazine? Do you want nightlife information? So this is different ways to gather subscribers' preferences, which is important so that you can send them the right information rather than just getting an email address and sending them anything you want. Let's look at some welcome examples. No More Rack is giving you a $10 gift card for signing up, and their CEO actually signs the email and says, thank you for signing up. Then they're promoting some of their products. Surla Table, they are thanking you for signing up, and they're trying to push people to their online and their in-person in-store events, which probably might not be going so well right now, but I bet that they have shifted and they're doing some virtual stuff. Where they're doing some virtual events, classes, cooking classes, and then later on, you might be more opted to buy something online from them or go to one of their stores once this pandemic is over. And then Wisteria, I just like how they're using common colors throughout their template here for their welcome email. They're offering you 10% off. They're giving a coupon code, and then they have their social media at the bottom right. You can view the online catalog. Hopefully this is giving you some ideas of what you might want to add to your welcome email. When it comes to templates, as I mentioned, you want to have a few different varieties, but let's go over some good examples of some templates. Here's one that our design team put together at iContact from Oregon State Marine Board. They have their social media nav bar at the top. They have what's called a hero image at the top. It's a big image. Then their main call to action and main button at the top. This is why you got this email. This is what we want you to do. And this is all placeholder image, and the client can put in whatever they want here. But they have a couple of different versions of this email. One has a couple of columns, and one is just one centered column with 3 at the bottom. So what you'll see is they have some images that go down to 3 images and then 3 buttons. That's kind of like secondary calls to action. Then down at the bottom, they can put their blog content, social media content, and again, they're asking you to follow them on social media. On the right-hand side, Stanley Korshak has a large hero image because they're trying to promote, say, a new line of clothing or something. So if you have a new line, new carrier or something, you might want to highlight that through a large image. Then have your promo text, which is a header, like a heading kind of font, and then some description below that. This is a simple one to draw an eyes on whatever it is you're trying to sell visually. We have I-80 Equipment. They sell used trucks and equipment like cranes. And what they're doing is using the classic Z pattern. Our eyes go from left to right and then down. And what they want to do is have you look at their inventory to see what might be right for you. So they would have different trucks there, and then you go left, right, down to take a look at what's going on in this email and see if something catches your eye. If not, they have their subjects on the left-hand side, and then also they have a video down in the bottom left-hand corner, because right now almost 80% of marketing is in video right now, and you want to make sure you're using video. If you're not, try to incorporate that. Start a YouTube channel if you don't have one, if you can, and start using more video, even if it's just an explainer video with background images or video and text over it. Bank in Georgia thanks you for signing up for their newsletter, and then they just send a simple email and say learn more. To me, that's a great template for their welcome message. Back to Rock, they use color to have your eyes go throughout the email and take a look at what they're doing. I like how they do that, because the email can get boring if it was all just a blue, like the navigation bar at the top, and I probably would just ignore it, maybe read the first paragraph and then ignore the rest, but the colors drive me down. The Bates Group is doing something interesting. They found that 80% or around 80% of their subscribers are on mobile devices. That's why you see the centered text here, which normally we would say stay away from centered text if you are sending emails, but if you know a majority of your folks are on mobile devices, it actually helps the readability, but on desktop, it's horrible. But also you'll notice that they're using different fonts to help drive your eyes down as well and make it a little bit more fun. And then Astro on the right, they're using client testimonials, which is something that you can do. And they're including blog content at the bottom, something that you can do as well. Social media share. So have that image at the top that draws people's attention, explain what the email is about, have a main call to action, and maybe some other information, and then the customer testimonials. It could be client stories, and then blog content. I like that example. And then Jones Agency here. This is a simple template that this agency is sending out just to say, hey, here's our monthly newsletter. Here's what we want to talk about. And then they're giving you some tips. Take the first step to changing your health. And it's kind of like a little mini article that you can click to go through. You'll notice that they don't have a nav bar here because they don't want to drive you back to their website. They just want to provide value in your inbox by sending you this email. Some content best practices would be to have the different versions of your template. Make sure that you're using video if you have those in your emails, your hero image, large call to action buttons, and just make sure it's visually appealing and you have great content in there because humans are visual by nature. We love images and more importantly, video. That's why TikTok and Instagrams are very popular because there's a lot of images and a lot of video. What you want to do is make sure that you're driving the eyes through your email rather than it just being Dear Hank, comment, and it's just long, like 8-paragraph email with call to action button at the bottom. That probably would drive me nuts. Maybe not everyone, but most of your subscribers will probably fatigue out and not be interested in that email. Also, if possible, use quality images. I use the word stock photography is don't use what everyone else is using or use low quality stock images or don't just Google images, but use high quality images, really good stock photography from like Getty Images or 123rf.com. Stay away from Unsplash and other ones like Pixelmator because what will happen is other people are using them and you may or may not know if you have the rights to use those emails. But make sure you're using images to showcase what you're offering and maybe have a designer create a special image for you with some text overlay. Images should not be over 600 pixels wide because that should be the average width of your email. If your image is larger than that and your email is only 600 pixels, it'll blow out the template and it'll look really weird. You want to have that clear and engaging call to action above the fold. And what that means is right here, what we see on that screen is above the fold. It's what we see when we first open the email. If your call to action is not above the fold, there's a good chance it might not be seen and people will not see your offer because maybe they're busy. Maybe they open your email and they say, oh, what's this email about? Maybe I'll come back to it later. But if you have a compelling call to action, you may keep them looking at that email. And most importantly, your email needs to look awesome on the desktop, tablet, and mobile device. 60 to 80% of opens are going to be on a mobile device, probably for you as well. And you want to make sure that your email looks awesome on all 3 of those devices. iContact does that easily. If you use our templates, it's going to be mobile responsive out of the gate. You don't have to do any special coding or anything. I talked to you about measuring your results and looking at what you're doing and making sure you're striving for the best possible statistics that you can have. And industry averages would be, for open rates, would be 20%. So if you're around 20%, that's good. That means you're doing well against the industry average. And what you want to do is just make sure you stay near there. If you're very low compared to that, just look at what you can do to increase your opens, and that would be through your subject line. If you're above that, that's awesome. That means your subscribers are engaged. About a 5% click-through rate is going to be pretty good for you. And if you're above that, again, congratulations. If you're a little bit lower, work on your calls to action. Your unsubscribe rate should be about 5 per 1,000. That means, if somebody's getting your email and they're clicking unsubscribe, there's something wrong with your content in your email. Could be your frequency, could be the content, could be your calls to action. Take a look at those if your numbers are high. And then your bounces should be less than 1%. These are invalid email addresses. You should never, ever use a purchase list. Now, right now in the United States, besides California, you are able to use a purchase list because CAN-SPAM, which was enacted in 2003, just states you need to inform people who you are through your address and contact information and provide a mechanism for unsubscribing. But California has a new law called the CCPA California Consumer Privacy Act, which actually mentions you need to have explicit consent. In other words, if you bias and send to them, you are actually violating that law. But more importantly, by buying a list, a majority of those email addresses are going to be stale and your bounce rate is going to be high. And then also what will happen is people don't know who you are because you're going to send that first email. They're going to say, I never consented to get this email. And what happens is it damages something called your sender reputation. It's like a credit score. Every time you send an email, your emails are being graded. And what happens is the more negative things that happen, like spam complaints, unsubscribes, and bounces, as well as people just ignoring your email, brings that credit score down. Believe it or not, the more people you have on your list that have not opened your email in a long time, it actually hurts you. And what you want to do is make sure you're doing list hygiene and cleaning your list so you have optimal inbox placement. Because the bad things like the unsubscribe, the spam complaint, the bounces, and ignoring, they're going to bring that credit score down. And the opens, clicks, and somebody actually going into the spam folder and saying this is not spam increases your credit score. And if you start getting a negative credit score, say 600 credit score, 60, I don't know what number to use, but let's just make something up because I don't know what the number is. It's going to be different with Gmail, Yahoo, all these providers. What will happen is at some point they're going to say you're an irrelevant sender and more of your emails are going to go to the spam box. So make sure you're staying in the inbox by doing the right things. Don't purchase a list, send emails that matter, get those opens, get those conversions, stop people from unsubscribing, and more importantly, disengaging or ignoring your emails. If you want specific stats or information, go to smartinsights.com. I did put insurance here. The average open rate is 21%, so that's close to the industry, the overall average. Click rate should be about 2%. It looks like it's a little bit lower than the average overall. And there's your unsubscribe and your bounce rate. But what I want you to do is create a baseline. Where are you now and where do you want to be? If you are at a 18% open rate and say a 2% click rate, where do you want to be? Do you want to be at 25 and then 6? So what you need to do from there is go ahead and make plans to say, I want to test subject lines. I want to test this type of content. I want to change my templates to see if that actually helps as well. I would say create that baseline and strive for a goal that you're going to create. All right. Hopefully I presented you with undeniable and helpful information about email marketing, and you cannot deny my claim that it's an appreciable asset rather than a liability. I'm using a little bit of insurance jargon there. Let's review. So take a look at the CLAIM acronym again. So create awareness through gaining subscribers and sending information that matters, subject lines. Leap into action by sending that welcome message and starting that relationship off right. Aspire to follow best practices, everything that we mentioned and more. There's going to be another session on the 28th that's going to be a little bit more in the weeds, a lot more around what I talked about with the deliverability and other information that'll help you more and use automation. So you want to do is make sure you sign up for the one on the 28th. That's the second. This is like 101 content. This is going to be more 201 content. Make sure you're inspiring your subscribers to act by having compelling copy, information, and communications in your email. Make it feel personal. Make it feel like it's a one-on-one conversation. Make me feel special if you're sending to me, and then measure your results. I let you know where your baseline should be or what your industry averages are, but it's really up to you to decide, are you happy with the rates that you have now? And where do you want to be? And if you haven't started using email marketing right now, I hopefully gave you a lot of great information to help you get started and do everything right out of the gate. This way you can have the best performing email marketing campaigns to grow your business. For being on today's webinar, I want to give you a VIP discount. If you do sign up for iContact, if you want to make us your preferred vendor for email marketing, use the code HANKFRIEND to sign up and get a $30 credit on your account. We offer self-service accounts where you can go in, use the account, get support. We have wonderful award-winning support that can help you. We also have pro-level features, which is higher level automation, segmentation, and landing pages. And we also have a service called Premier, where we would partner you with a strategic advisor or consultant, as well as you'd have access to our design and content team. The design team can create templates, emails, graphics, animated GIFs for your emails, and our content team can write blog posts, social media content, as well as email content. And pretty much that service starts at about $350 for the month, in addition to your email subscription. But just think, if you had to hire a consultant, a designer, and a content writer, you'd pay a lot more than that. If you're interested, my email address is hank@iContact, or you can go through our sales channels and they'll hound you. But if you want to talk to me, I'd be happy to talk to you about that. I used to manage those teams that I just mentioned, so I'd happily talk to you about those. And then I want to give you an opportunity to sign up for my journal or my newsletter, which is what I mentioned earlier. And it's not really anything that I'm selling. I might talk to you about my podcast episodes because I'm a podcast host. I might talk to you about a book that I wrote, and it's up to you. It's at the bottom of the email, but all my most important information is at the top. And that is all that helpful information that should help you. And it allows you to connect with me one-on-one, because you can reply to that email or connect with me on social. Just text Hank to 33777. You'll also see my example of my welcome message, and you'll see how I'm using automation in my email marketing efforts. You can unsubscribe at any time. I hope you wouldn't. Maybe you'll stick around. And like I said, it just tells you everything I'm doing, and I'm here to help you, just like I'm here with Cornerstone today to provide value. That's how I want to offer you my assistance, is through that. And also by texting Hank to 33777, I'm going to give you iContact's subject line guide. This is a subject line guide with 501 examples of email subject lines that are either great or did not perform well, backed up by our statistics, broken out by industry, also broken out by types of email: welcome message, retail, nonprofit, insurance. There's a bunch of different examples in there that you can get inspiration from, and also learn what not to do. And lastly, what I'd like to mention is I'm doing a series called Hang with Hank. If you go to hankhoffmeyer.com/live, right now I need to add a few there, but I'm doing a series of live events on YouTube and Facebook. These are my channels. And then also on Zoom, I'm doing coffee talks. If you want to hop on a Zoom call, talk to me one-on-one about anything we discussed here today or more, social media, just go to hankhoffmeyer.com/live, see when my events are coming up. You can see previous recorded episodes. I did one on email deliverability with our in-house deliverability expert, Brendan Matthews. I'd be happy to connect with you there. I'd love to see you on some of my live streams. And with that, it was such a pleasure to talk to you in your home or home office, wherever you are today, about email marketing. And what I want to do is hand it back over, and let's talk about your questions and see how I might be able to help you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Hank. And just so everybody knows, Cornerstone has also used that subject line guide to help us with best practices for delivering email. So we highly recommend that you use it as well. It's been really helpful for us over the last year or so. So if you have any questions, you can type them into the chat box and we will get some answers for you. I do have a couple questions for you, Hank. The first question I have is, how often would you recommend sending email marketing when you're first getting started? How much is too much for a subscriber to receive?
That is a great question, and it always comes up. Really, it depends on what type of industry you're in, number one, and then also what kind of cadence you want to set. As an example, I always say ask your subscribers. Like retailers, it's okay to send once a week, or there's a retailer by me. I don't know if everybody has a Kohl's by them, but I get like 3 to 4 a week from them. And I seem to put up with that because I like some of their discounts. When it comes to, say, insurance, I'm thinking once a month is good. Maybe twice a month might be okay. And really what you need to do, and I touched on this, but you want to provide value in your emails. State Farm is like in my auto and home insurance. They don't just try to sell me their life insurance policy. They're providing me information on keeping my car running well, especially if I want to take a long haul trip somewhere. They give me a checklist, or protecting my home from home invasion, thieves, robbers, etc. They're giving me valuable information so that when I am ready to buy more from them, or maybe I'm not a State Farm agent, but I signed up for their newsletter, when I am ready to buy, I will. But as a marketer, you need to keep the interest of your subscriber. There's nothing worse than, say, going to look at a car and then keep getting emails, and you just went to say, hey, I just want to find out what kind of mileage this, gas mileage this car gets, but you're not even ready to buy, but they're trying to sell you the whole time. What they might want to do is tell you about their service and free oil changes and stuff like that, rather than just saying, these are the cars we have on sale. So really, it depends on you and what you feel that you can offer to your subscribers. But I would say 2 times a month, if you have enough content, enough valuable content, or once a month.
Okay, great. So if somebody wants to get started with a monthly newsletter for their clients, what do you have as far as recommendations for getting started on finding content, on actually setting up the template? What are your recommendations for that, as for somebody who has never done anything like that before?
Right. I would say find inspiration. Look at what other people are doing. Look, reallygoodemails.com is a good way to go in and look at examples of templates. Or if you become an iContact customer, we give you layouts and templates, and we have ones that are going to be in your industry. We have like we'll have the industry template and then different layouts for each one. Look at those, get inspiration, and then change some of the images that we provide for you. Change the placeholder content because that's all going to be provided. Or look at really good emails. We also have, if you contact me directly, we have a design lookbook, which I can give to you as well. That gives you a bunch of different examples of great emails that our designers picked out and dissected. And there's a lot of call outs. I talk about why they felt that these emails were great. Take a look at that and then make sure that you're putting compelling copy in there. I mentioned earlier, a lot of times in marketers, we put in these emails what we want to sell rather than what people want to buy, or basically what they're interested in. What is their pain point? What information are they looking for? That is what needs to be in your email, not what you're trying to sell, promote, or just get into your email. And don't be afraid to do what you do best and delegate the rest. Maybe you're really good at talking about insurance. Maybe you're good about helping find the right type of coverage, but you're horrible at writing copy. Hire someone to do it, whether it's internally, use a virtual assistant. I would say maybe even try out Fiverr, but just be careful because you get what you pay for. But make sure that you're doing everything you need to do to work on your business rather than in it. And with iContact Premier, we can actually help you write that compelling email copy, tell you what kind of buttons, what button colors to use. So that's one way to outsource, is if you do become a Premier account, we're going to give you that strategic advisor that's going to be your coach and your counselor. And then you're going to have the designer. It's going to create beautiful emails. And then also that content person that can help you write great content for your emails. But going back to what I said initially, find inspiration, learn along the way. Right now, we're all working from home, and maybe we have a little more time on our hands. With me, I feel like I'm creating more content and have less time on my hands. But if you have some time, now's a great time to take a copywriting course, to take a simple design course, learn how to use canva.com to create some graphics and illustrations for your emails.
Okay, excellent. And if that's something that people are interested in as well, as like some sort of copywriting webinar, please let us know in the survey following this webinar. Maybe that's something that we could be doing for the end of the 2020 series, or something that we could do in 2021. So if that's of interest to you, let us know in that survey. Okay, another question. I'm new to email marketing and measuring analytics. What analytics should I focus on to determine the success of my email marketing campaign?
Right. A lot of people just have this theory that, when they send an email, it has to have a 30% open rate, it has to have a 5% click rate. You really need to look at what is the goal of that email? What are you going to be happy with? And then overall too, like, what are your trends? Are your open rates trending up? Are they trending down? Click rates. And remember, the open rate is indicative of your subject line and your pre-header. That usually is what gets people to open. And then the copy, the images, the button colors, the call to actions, that is all where your click rate comes through. And a lot of times I always say my job is not done if I get someone to open an email and click it. They need to go back to that landing page or that website and convert there, whether that's a click to call, it is a call me form, learn more, something like that converts them, because it is a harmonious relationship, email marketing to your website or a phone call. That all needs to happen for a conversion to happen. Therefore, don't forget about the other end. It's not just email marketing, it's also your website and landing page. Is it all cohesive? Does it all work seamlessly together? But don't just get upset if you have a low open rate on one email. Maybe that one didn't do well, or maybe it was just the time you sent it at 6 o'clock in the morning. Maybe the optimal time is 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Try that as well. There's a lot of different information. I encourage you to sign up for a coffee chat with me and talk about that if you have specific questions around that, because I can't tell you 3 p.m. Eastern time is the best time to send if you're on the West Coast, right? Because things are going to be different, and maybe a lot of what you do, your business is geographic. Therefore, I encourage you to talk to someone, talk to me, and learn.
Yeah, and Cornerstone has a reason that we send out the Monday Minute every week at 9:30 a.m. It's because we get the most open rates at that point. People are the most interested when they're drinking their coffee in the morning and they're just trying to scroll through and get all the industry information that they need. There's a reason that we send that stuff out when we did. And as you might have noticed, if you've been a broker with us for a while, that has changed over the years to try to figure out what our sweet spot is. It does definitely take a little bit of time and trial and error to figure that out.
I send my journal out on the first of every month, even if it's on January 1st at 6:30 a.m. because I want it to be consistent. And if you want my emails, you'll find it and open it. Otherwise, it's not like I don't care, but like I said, I want to be consistent, and I'm sending it early because I want you to go in and look for my email rather than me trying to force you to open it.
Yeah, clients love that consistency. You mentioned producing or including a little bit more video content. How do you balance the media with the amount of verbiage that you're going to include in a newsletter? So how many pictures or videos is too many pictures and videos?
Well, there's a rule, especially with images, and right now there's some platforms that say they embed video and email, and that's true. But what happens is not every email client will play that video. It still needs to click through to the actual video. So we're going to talk about images as far as video and images. You should have a 60-40 split when it comes to text versus images or video. 60% text, 40% should be visual, because what will happen is spammers have found a way to inject not malicious, but spammy type content in images like overlays and in video overlays as well. And what will happen is if you have too many images and your reputation is not high, that domain reputation, what might happen is your emails will get served to the spam folder rather than the inbox. So 60% text, 40% images. And also with video, you don't have to get in front of a camera and talk all the time. There's Lumen 5, which is a great tool. It allows you to put background video, background images your own, or they provide them, and you can put text over the top of that, and you can actually take your blog content and turn it into a video, which is a little bit more compelling than somebody just say reading your email. Hopefully those two bits of information were helpful.
Okay, great. It looks like we have one more question. Hold on one second. Since email marketing strategies seem effective for high volume marketing lists, how do you apply the principles discussed for a certain niche market with just 300 to 500 prospects within a certain geographic area?
Love that question. It's the quality of your subscriber list, not the quantity. I can have 1 million subscribers and have a 2% open rate, but I have a potential of getting in front of everyone in my mind as a marketer. But if I have 500 email addresses and my open rate 60%, I'll take that all day long. That's why there's that whole process that we talked about here, make that claim. What you want to do is just make sure that you're obtaining subscribers in the right fashion, setting those expectations by sending that welcome message, start that relationship off right, use personalization, send emails that matter. In other words, great content, great subject lines, and those templates that are going to keep people interested, and then look at your data. What can you make improvements on if your open rate's low? Look at your subject lines, and also it could be your content, but then your conversion rates, look at your content. Therefore, it doesn't matter about what niche you're in. It doesn't matter how many email addresses you have. It just matters what are you doing. So I would say if you're not using email marketing right now, start using it. And if you're using it, do more and do better.
All right. It looks like that is all the questions that we had for today, but if you have any other things that you'd like to get to Hank, or if you have any questions for the marketing department at Cornerstone, please feel free to contact me at jlarkin@crnstone.com. Don't forget to register for our other upcoming webinars in this series and in others. We have a group corner webinar this Thursday, which covers Anthem Employer Access. Broker advisor Tracy Lawson and Anthem's Robin Cope will walk you through a step-by-step guide for managing health benefits online. And you can register for that webinar on the Cornerstone website under events. And for the next Build Your Brand webinar on April 28th, like Hank said, we're bringing him back for a 201 webinar on email marketing. So if you'd like to take this one a little bit further, you can join us for that on April 28th, same time as usual, 9:30 a.m. And if you're interested, you can register for that on the Cornerstone website, or as usual, it will be in the weekly Monday Minute newsletter. And thank you all for joining us today. You're going to receive a copy of this presentation in the next day or two, and it will be available on the Resource Center at crnstone.com. And if you have a couple minutes after the webinar, please take a moment to fill out the survey that we have prepared. Your feedback is incredibly important to us, and it ensures that we're going to continually provide value with guests like Hank. Have a great day, everyone. Stay safe, and thank you so much to Hank for joining us.